What a great, great, great place to be this morning to celebrate something truly important for this community. Chairman Fox, let me thank you for your work as chair of the Board of Transportation. Folks, it's a volunteer job. I cannot tell you how many hours he has put in over the last few years making North Carolina transportation better. I'm grateful for him, but let me tell you, he is a strong, strong advocate for the triad. Every time when we're talking, he talks the triad. Representative Baker, glad to be here with you. All of the local elected officials, thank you for your work. I know our special guest particularly appreciates our representatives at the city level. Mayor Joines, thank you for your leadership of this great city. Kevin Monroe is the director of my intergovernmental affairs. Kevin's around here somewhere. He can wave to you. If you see Kevin, he can solve any problem that you might have. So make sure you contact Kevin. Listen, when we talk about North Carolina, we talk about the third fastest growing state in the country. We talk about this triad, which is under an economic boom right now. Jobs are growing. We know that in order to make sure we handle all of the businesses that want to be here, all the people that want to come here, that we maintain our quality of life, that we make sure that we make it easier, safer, cleaner to get from one place to the next. Investment in infrastructure is critical. I can't speak to a group like this without saying we must continue to invest in public education from cradle to career. And that must be a priority because all of these many businesses that have come to locate here in the triad want a quality workforce. They want their parents to be able to, their employees to be, who have children, to be able to have quality childcare and early childhood education. So we have to invest in that. But we also have to invest in our infrastructure. And part of that is improving quality of life, improving our health. Urban trails are a proven way to do that. This parkway that's going to connect these landmarks here in Winston-Salem, from the hospital to Truist Stadium to downtown and some residential areas, it will be amazing. I look forward to coming back and actually walking it. I'm not going to promise to bike it, but walking it, I think it'll be beautiful. I think that it'll be a place where people will want to go to reflect, to try to leave that car by the curb or in the garage, and to make sure that they're getting from one place to another in a healthy way. It'll help us to attract tourism, and it will just improve people's quality of life here in Winston-Salem. We are deeply grateful for President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure plan. For the Inflation Reduction Act, for the CHIPS and Science Act, for the American Rescue Plan. These all have been generational investments that are going to help your children, your grandchildren. These investments that have been needed to be made for a long time now are being made. And the president appointed a cabinet who could get the job done. And the head of the Department of Transportation is here today. I've known him for quite a while now. His service as mayor was exemplary. He was a veteran, Rhodes Scholar. He has approached this job with a real passion. Not only does he understand the details, but he has a real vision of where we need to go in this country. North Carolina has done really well with the U.S. Department of Transportation. And whenever he shows up, he's bringing good tidings, bringing great joy. And let me introduce to you our United States Department of Transportation Secretary, my friend Pete Buttigieg.
Good morning, Winston-Salem. What a treat it is to be with you. I'll find out later whether it was the state or it was the city that was responsible for arranging the weather, but I'll just give you both credit for it at the moment. Mayor, thanks so much for welcoming us to your city. It's true, as the governor and others said, I still have the heart of a mayor everywhere I go. And I was just reflecting, there's few better experiences in life than walking into a ballpark on a sunny day in a city that you happen to be the mayor of. There's few more rewarding experiences in delivering on improvements in quality of place and quality of life for your community in a place that you call home. I know that Mayor Joines has served this community through many seasons of ups and downs, and I know that the job of a mayor has only become more demanding and difficult since I proudly wore that title a few years ago. So thank you for your leadership. I will note, though, that it would have been nice back when I was mayor if there were a president delivering $1 trillion infrastructure package to benefit cities and towns across the country. So hopefully you feel we're a wind at your back in that regard. I want to thank all of the local and state leaders who the mayor acknowledged and all of the community members who've joined us today who've helped create the momentum for a project like this. And I want to recognize some who can't be here but who we work with closely. Members of the House from North Carolina and U.S. senators, including Senator Tillis, who notably crossed party lines and was among those Republicans who sat down with Democrats, with President Biden, with me and others, because there's nothing Republican or Democrat, at least there shouldn't be, about building good roads and bridges, taking care of our ports and airports, and more. And I want to thank Chairman Fox for today's tour of construction sites and for your leadership, your volunteer leadership of the NCDOT, who are doing such terrific work under the leadership of Governor Cooper. The governor and I have been on a bit of a roadshow these last couple of days. We started our day yesterday groundbreaking the beginning of that Raleigh to Richmond line, which we celebrated the funding for just a few months ago, an extraordinary pace, already being able to turn some dirt on that project. Later, we sat down with workers who were benefiting from these good-paying jobs, and then still later in the day saw what the elimination of a railroad crossing and the introduction of a new and better road design by the state fairgrounds is going to mean. And now we are here in Winston-Salem celebrating another project that we know is going to make an enormous difference in the everyday life of so many people around here. One of the reasons why I feel that I have the best job in the federal government is that privilege of being able to see how those federal dollars are making a difference closer to home across what is now 57,000 projects of all sizes, from $1 billion railroad grant to help make Raleigh to Richmond into a reality, to the $1.5 million that's going into phase one of a project like this with several $1 million ahead for phase two. What every single one of those projects, 57,000 and counting, has in common is that not a single one of them was invented or cooked up somewhere in the U.S. Department of Transportation headquarters in Washington, D.C. Every one of those projects was developed by the community or was developed by a state DOT. And so many of those projects we've also been told about have been in the works for more than a decade, like this one, or several decades, like some of the others that we noted the other day. And you might ask, if people have been working on it for so long, why didn't it happen? But the answer is that Washington wasn't doing its part. The projects were being developed, the visions were taking shape, the communities were putting their hopes and their plans together, but the funding wasn't there. We know that the great ideas aren't going to come from Washington, but more of the funding should, and today it is. That's what we're celebrating. So that's why, on behalf of President Biden, Vice President Harris, and this entire administration, we're so proud to join you to help break ground on this new Salem Parkway Multi-Use Path. We know the benefits it's going to bring for safety, for people who walk and bike, connecting so many people between downtown here, soon all the way to the hospital that's the biggest employer in the county. We see what it'll mean to have that safe and comfortable and welcoming way to walk or bike around a community, benefiting people's health, benefiting quality of life, the time you get to spend with your kids, with your friends. And because of the safety element of that, I would add that these kinds of improvements are not ornamental, they are fundamental to our agenda to move toward a vision of zero roadway and traffic deaths in this country. This is important work. So I want to congratulate you not only on the strength of community you have shown, but on joining that community of places around the United States that is stepping up, taking its future into its own hands, and doing so in partnership with the Biden-Harris administration. This is part of a larger effort that we're just one part of over in the DOT. To just pay attention to how politics and government affects everyday life and make the most of those tools that are placed in the hands of policymakers. I fear, especially in our moment, that too many in Washington feel maybe too many steps removed from what's going on the ground in a place like Winston-Salem, and too many community members wonder whether anything going on in those big white buildings in Washington, D.C. actually matters in a way that's beneficial here on the ground. And that's been our focus. That's been President Biden's focus, just like it's Governor Cooper's focus, to make sure that education is the way it needs to be, to make sure that healthcare is affordable. At the federal level, that's meant the drive for $35 a month insulin, the fight to get inflation back below 3%, all of the steps that we've taken on getting rid of price gouging and junk fees. But unquestionably, a big part of that is investments like this one. And we couldn't be more fortunate to have the partnerships that we do with the community, with the mayor, with a visionary governor like Roy Cooper under the leadership of Joe Biden. Last thing I just want to mention is part of why it's gratifying for a former mayor to be here is that any mayor knows that the best moments are when projects become reality. After years of seeing the numbers on a page and the designs on a chart, after going through PowerPoint presentation after PowerPoint presentation, your hands start to feel itchy to actually get those hands on a shovel and turn some dirt. And that's how we feel nationally too. We spent our first year fighting to get this infrastructure package done. And then our second year creating all the programs that it launched. And then our third year figuring out how to start routing these dollars. But if year one was the bill passing and year two was the programs launching and year three was the money moving, this year 2024 is about the dirt flying. And with that, no more ado. We're going to go ahead and get that dirt flying. So with the governor, local leaders, this red fellow, who I can only assume is the vice chair of the Department of Transportation, we're going to celebrate the great future here in Winston-Salem and the great present of getting big things done together. Thanks so much for the chance to be here and join you.